Over the last 2 or so months, the diva of Dump Divas, Kat Engelbert, along with players in the WNBA who are desperately fighting for money they haven't earned, they have been congregating every Sunday morning at Woke United Methodist like they usually do. But instead of praying to their unrisen King George Floyd and demanding their usual prayer request, chartered flights, an increased supply of Just for Men, complimentary batteries for recently donated dildos, directions for the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow so they can collect $1 million salaries. Instead of their usual request, the WNBA and its players, they have been asking Father George to heal the Great White Hope.
The WNBA is facing a crisis, and the one player they once ignored might be the only thing that can save them. Caitlyn Clark. After months of trashing her, the league is now desperate for her return. Is she the hero they need, or will the league crumble without her? Smash that like button, and let's dive into this wild turn of events. For months, the WNBA made it clear this league wasn't just about one player. They preached the importance of the collective, insisting that the team dynamic mattered more than individual stars. But now, the story's completely flipped. As ratings plunge and ticket sales flatline, the league is scrambling to get Caitlyn Clark back on the court. The same league that told us it wasn't about one player is now desperately pleading for her return, all because the spotlight on the WNBA has started to fade. Fans have moved on, the media is not paying attention, and without Clark, the league's biggest stage feels more like a ghost town. When Caitlyn Clark was healthy, she wasn't just a player, she was the face of the WNBA. Every time she hit the court, the numbers spoke for themselves. Record-breaking ticket sales.
George, it's me, Kathy E! We're in deep shit. The networks are expecting big ratings for the playoffs, and there is absolutely no way these unknown players who think they are stars can deliver. I really need a miracle, Father. Can you please heal the injuries that Caitlyn Clark is dealing with?
Viral social media moments and TV ratings that outdrew major sports leagues. Her presence brought in casual fans. The kind of people who couldn't name another WNBA player, but knew exactly who Caitlyn Clark was. She wasn't just a star, she was the star keeping the league on the map. But now, with her sidelined, that energy is gone. Without her, the buzz is dead, and the WNBA is left desperately trying to fill the void. But nothing seems to stick. It's clear Caitlyn Clark wasn't just carrying the team, she was carrying the entire league. Now, here's where things get interesting. The same players and league officials who spent months downplaying Caitlyn Clark's impact are now praying for her to come back. They mocked her, criticized her dominance, and even tried to push the narrative that the WNBA was about more than one player. Fast forward to today, and they're in full panic mode. The ratings are tanking, ticket sales are dropping, and the league's survival is hanging by a thread. The truth: Clark is the WNBA's golden ticket. Without her, the league goes back to being a niche sport with little national attention. Now, they're trying to bring her back, even if it means pushing her recovery for the sake of ratings. They might never admit it out loud, but trust me, deep down, they know the truth. Caitlyn Clark is the only reason the WNBA matters. Then we have Coach Stephanie White, who seems to be prioritizing one thing above all else: ratings. Despite the clear risks to Caitlyn Clark's health, White has publicly stated that she hopes Clark not only returns for the playoffs, but for the regular season too. This is where it gets ridiculous. A coach should be focused on their players' well-being, right? But White, along with the league, is more concerned with the financial impact of Clark's absence. Sure, the Fever aren't going to win a championship this season with or without her, but the real worry here is that without Clark, their games become just another routine matchup, unnoticed and underwhelming. It's about money and visibility, not the long-term health of their star player. The league's desperation has reached a new low, and they're hoping Clark's return can salvage the mess they've made. But at what cost? They're willing to risk her future to keep their current dream alive. Let's break down the numbers, because they tell the real story. When Caitlyn Clark was playing, the WNBA was breaking records across the board. Primetime ratings, off the charts. Ticket sales, through the roof. A surge like the league had never seen before.
There is absolutely no reason for Caitlyn Clark to return. But according to Stephanie White, the head coach of the Indiana Felines, not only is she hoping that Caitlyn Clark returns for the playoffs, Steph wants to see the Roo from Waterloo back on the court in the regular season. The question is what?
Every arena she visited turned into a sold-out event. Every game drawing in a crowd that cared. Fans weren't just coming to see a team, they were coming to see her. The WNBA's national visibility skyrocketed every time Clark stepped onto the court, and even casual sports fans tuned in. But now that she's gone, the numbers have plummeted. TV ratings are sinking, ticket sales are sluggish, and social media engagement is flatlining. The league can put a positive spin on attendance numbers all they want, but when the playoffs come around and there's barely a buzz, it's clear the WNBA without Caitlyn Clark just isn't the same. The WNBA's entire strategy over the past few years has been built around one undeniable truth: Caitlyn Clark is their star. She's not just a player, she's the product, the face, and the driving force behind the league's most successful moments. Without her, the WNBA is just another sports league struggling to keep its head above water. The league has invested everything in her, from selling out arenas to signing major sponsorship deals. But now that she's sidelined, everything is unraveling. The spotlight is gone, and so is the attention from casual fans. Without Clark, no one cares about the fever.
Turn to practice. Hell, at this point, I don't even know if she's on the Huffy. Well, KC, don't you mean the treadmill? The WNBA can't afford a treadmill. When players are rehabbing injuries or looking to warm up, the WNBA provides them with a used Huffy or sometimes a Schwinn. But either way, with 10 or so days left in the regular season, Caitlyn Clark is nowhere near ready to return. But according to Stephanie White, we could see the Rue from Waterloo on the court.
No one cares about Angel Reese's latest Netflix cameo, and no one's tuning in for Sabrina Ionescu's three-point contests. The WNBA's hopes of being taken seriously as a mainstream league have always rested on Clark's shoulders. And now, without her, the cold truth is impossible to ignore. The league's future is uncertain, and they're running out of time to find a way to keep the lights on. Here's where the reality hits hard for the WNBA. Star power matters. The league can pretend all they want, that it's about the collective, but when it comes down to it, people show up for the stars. Caitlyn Clark proved that. She wasn't just another player. She was the reason fans tuned in, the reason arenas sold out, and the reason the WNBA was even on the radar for casual sports fans. Without her, the league falls back into obscurity, just like it was before she made her mark. Players like Angel Reese and Sabrina Ionescu may be talented.
I've been telling you guys since July, there is no way Caitlyn Clark should return this season. The Indiana Felines are well on their way to being a flaming ass fire. They are barely clinging to the final spot in the playoffs. Sophie Cunningham's out for the season, which means Caitlyn Clark would be on the court unprotected. She wouldn't have her bodyguard to protect her from opposing players who like to get...
But they don't have the same draw, the same universal appeal. The truth is, star players create the buzz, drive the conversation, and bring in the revenue. Without Clark, the WNBA is back to being invisible, struggling to make headlines or sell tickets. And while the league may try to claim it's about the collective, the fans and media will only care about the players who bring the excitement. Caitlyn Clark brought that excitement. Without her, the league doesn't just look empty, it feels empty. Let's face it, Caitlyn Clark doesn't need the WNBA. She's already proven that. If she decided tomorrow that she was done with the league, she'd still be a global star. She could take her talents overseas, focus on brand deals, or even tour the country, and she'd still have millions of fans following her every move. Clark is more than a player. She's a brand, a force in the sports world. The WNBA, on the other hand, is a league that has been running on fumes, using her name to keep itself relevant. If she left today, the league would lose its biggest draw, and the future would look bleak. The WNBA has been riding on Clark's coattails, and now they're desperately trying to convince her to come back and save them. But here's the kicker. Clark owes them nothing. She doesn't owe the league, she doesn't owe the fans, and she certainly doesn't owe the players who spent years trying to tear her down. If she sits out the rest of the season, so be it. The WNBA is stuck with the mess they've created, and now they have to face the music. The WNBA is at a crossroads. If Caitlyn Clark were to leave the league for good, the consequences would be severe. The league has spent years building its brand around her, and without her, the foundation is shaky at best. Other players, as talented as they may be, simply can't generate the same level of attention or excitement. No one is selling out arenas for games featuring unknown stars, and no one is tuning in for another three-point contest or viral clip. The WNBA's dependency on Clark isn't just a matter of ratings, it's a matter of survival. The league might be able to hang on for a little while, but without its star player, it's only a matter of time before the interest fades, the sponsors leave, and the ratings drop even further. This is the brutal truth the WNBA has to face. Without Caitlyn Clark, they're nothing. And if she decides to move on, the league could be looking at a future in total obscurity, where all the progress they made over the past few years evaporates in the blink of an eye. Here's the most ironic part of it all. The same league that spent months insisting that Caitlyn Clark wasn't the be-all and end-all of women's basketball is now desperately clinging to her like their life depends on it. For all the talk of player empowerment, it turns out that when it comes to cold hard reality, the WNBA is more concerned with ratings, sponsors, and maintaining relevance than actually living up to their own ideals. The players and league officials who once belittled Clark, questioning her dominance and criticizing the attention she received, are now the ones begging for her to return. It's almost poetic. They spent so much time trying to make her the villain, only to realize she was the hero the league desperately needed. And now, in their panic, they're ready to risk everything. Clark's health, her future, the integrity of the league, just to keep the illusion alive. Because without her, it's game over. So, what's the future for Caitlyn Clark and the WNBA? Should she return and risk her health to save a league that spent years using her for clout? Or should she sit it out and let the WNBA face the consequences of their desperation? The truth is, Clark owes them nothing. She's built her own empire, and the WNBA is just lucky to have benefited from her stardom. If she walks away, the league might finally be forced to confront the reality that it's never truly been about the collective. It's always been about the stars. And Clark is the only one shining bright enough to keep the WNBA in the spotlight. It's time for the league to face the truth. Without Caitlyn Clark, they're nothing. What do you think? Should Clark come back? Or should she walk away and let the WNBA figure out their mess? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more breakdowns.